Do you believe the dead can order takeout? In 1989, in Hong Kong's New Territories, four bodies that had been dead for more than a week were found with freshly eaten char siu rice meals in their stomachs. The food appeared to have been consumed less than 2 days earlier. This case has been widely circulated as Hong Kong's only officially acknowledged supernatural incident. It is known as the haunted takeout from a cha chan teng. The story took place in December 1989. In the northern New Territories, there was a small cha chan teng called Chu Chung Ki. It served ordinary dishes such as rice rolls, egg rice, and noodle dishes. Back then, takeout orders were not placed through apps as they are today. Customers would call the restaurant directly and staff would deliver the food. The area around the restaurant contained a number of villas scattered across the countryside. Unlike today's New Territories, where village houses have largely disappeared and villas are everywhere, the region was much less developed. The northern New Territories were divided into several districts. This incident reportedly occurred in an area called Tai Po Tin. It was considered a relatively prosperous and accessible place, surrounded by hills, greenery, and clusters of village homes. One day, a restaurant employee received a phone order for char siu rice and beef cha fan. The caller requested delivery to a unit in a villa complex called Hai Sa Gardens. He ordered enough food for 4 people. After preparing the meals, the employees packed them up and headed to the address. When he arrived, he rang the doorbell. No one answered. He knocked several more times. Eventually, the door opened just a tiny crack. Someone inside passed money through the gap and told him to leave the food outside the door. The employee thought it was strange. Why open the door just enough to pay, but not take the food? Nevertheless, he left the meals and returned to the restaurant. That evening, while counting the day's earnings, the owner discovered several pieces of joss paper, ghost money, mixed in with the cash. At first, he assumed one of the employees was playing a prank. He questioned everyone, but no one knew anything about it. According to later statements, even if someone had stolen money, no one would have replaced it with ghost money. The matter was eventually dropped. The next day, when the restaurant closed, the owner once again found a large amount of ghost money in the cash drawer. After questioning the staff, he learned that another delivery had been made earlier that day to the same villa unit. Once again, the customer had paid through a narrow opening in the door and instructed the delivery worker to leave the food outside. Now seriously concerned, the owner told his employees that if the same address called again, he would personally handle the delivery. Sure enough, on the 3rd day, another order came in for beef cha fan and char siu rice. The owner delivered it himself. When he arrived, the same thing happened. A door opened only slightly, money was handed through the gap, and he was told to leave the food outside. Hoping to catch a glimpse of the person inside, he lingered nearby for some time, but the door never opened further. After carefully examining the money and finding nothing unusual, he returned to the restaurant. Back at Chu Chung Ki, he placed the money beneath the cash box. Later that night, during closing accounts, he discovered that the money had once again transformed into ghost money. Terrified, the owner immediately contacted the police. Police officers quickly went to investigate the villa. After repeated knocks and calls went unanswered, and hearing no sounds from inside, they forced the door open. Inside, they found 4 bodies lying on the floor. Preliminary examination suggested that all 4 individuals had been dead for quite some time. The scene was immediately sealed off and an investigation began. When police interviewed neighboring residents, they received surprising information. None of the neighbors realized anyone had died next door. Over the previous several nights, they had regularly heard the sounds of mahjong tiles being shuffled and played. Although they heard no voices, the sound of the tiles was unmistakable. This was especially true during the quiet hours of the night. The bodies were sent for autopsy and toxicological analysis. Investigators concluded that the victims had been dead for more than a week. The most astonishing findings came from the forensic examination. The stomachs of all 4 deceased individuals contained relatively fresh food that appeared to have been consumed no more than 1 or 2 days earlier. The food included beef, cha fun, and char siu rice. According to modern medical and pathological understanding, digestion effectively ceases after death. Yet analysis of the stomach contents reportedly suggested recent ingestion of food. Even more remarkably, the foods found in the stomachs match the dishes delivered by Chu Chung Ki. As if that were not strange enough, forensic examinations of the ghost money recovered from the restaurant allegedly reveal fingerprints belonging not only to the delivery workers and the owner, but also to 2 of the deceased individuals. Local villagers eventually invited a feng shui master to inspect the property. According to his interpretation, the house faced northeast, toward what is traditionally called the Ghost Gate, causing negative spiritual energy to accumulate. The 4 people had died at a particularly inauspicious moment. Their spirits had failed to move on. Believing themselves still alive, they supposedly continued their daily routines, ordering food, eating meals, and playing mahjong. Only when the police entered the house and disrupted the spiritual conditions were they finally released from their confusion. The official cause of death, however, was said to be carbon monoxide poisoning. According to the story, the 4 individuals had been using charcoal for warmth during an unusually cold period. After playing mahjong, they went to sleep and died from carbon monoxide exposure. Historical weather records indicate that temperatures in the northern New Territories had dropped to around 0°C. That was exceptionally cold for the region. The story was later reported by numerous newspapers. Media outlets interviewed official representatives. According to the legend, police publicly acknowledged the unusual findings. That is why the case became known as Hong Kong's first, and supposedly only, supernatural incident not concealed by the government.